Your coworker pulls into the lot in a car so new it still has the paper plate taped in the back window. Everyone crowds around at lunch, phones out, asking about the financing. You eat your sandwich in the driver's seat of a car with 200,000 miles on it and a check engine light you've stopped noticing. Somebody asks if you're jealous. Not really, you say, and you mean it more than they expect you to. Here's what nobody at that lunch table knows. 4 years ago, you sat in your own car in a different parking lot, staring at a screen that said your 401k contribution was going up by 2%. 2%. It felt like nothing. It felt like something you could undo the second it got uncomfortable. It never got undone. Your sister calls that weekend, the way she does every few months, always a little breathless. She's just put a down payment on a boat. Not a big one, she says, like size is the part that needs defending. You ask how the payments look next to the mortgage. She laughs it off. We only live once, right? You don't say what you're thinking, which is that you also only live once, and that's exactly why you're not doing this. Rewind further. You were 26, sitting across from a guy at a coffee shop who used to manage money for people richer than either of you would ever be. He wasn't selling you anything. He just asked one question that stuck somewhere behind your ribs and never came loose. What do you actually want your money to buy you? Stuff or time? You didn't answer right away. You ordered a second coffee instead. But the next Monday, you called the number on the back of your benefits card and moved your contribution up. Not because you'd figured out the answer, because you'd started to suspect it. The apartment you live in now isn't impressive. Nobody's ever asked to see it twice. The kitchen counter is the same laminate it's had since the 90s, and there's a water stain on the ceiling in the shape of a state you can't quite name. You could afford better. You've run the numbers more than once, late at night, thumb hovering over listings with actual counter, space, and no water stains. You always close the tab. Not because you don't want nice things, because you did the math on what nice actually costs over 30 years, compounded, and the number stopped feeling like an upgrade and started feeling like a tax on your future. Your best friend thinks you're being extreme. He said so at dinner last month, half joking, watching you decline dessert because you'd already decided the money was going somewhere else this week. Live a little, he said. I am living, you told him. Just not for the version of me sitting at this table. He didn't get it. That's fine. He's not supposed to get it from the outside. The whole thing about this choice is that it's invisible from the outside by design. Nobody claps for an index fund. Nobody posts a picture of a retirement account that grew 11% this year. There's no lunchtime crowd gathering around your banking app. There's just a number quietly climbing that only you check. 5 years from your first coffee shop conversation, your coworker with the new car is still making payments on a vehicle worth half what he owes on it. He mentioned it once, quiet, almost embarrassed, like admitting it broke some unspoken rule at the lunch table. You didn't say anything smug. You just nodded, because you remembered exactly what that math felt like from the other side of it, back before you'd made your choice. Your sister sold the boat 2 summers later. Storage fees, she said. Insurance. Turns out the water wasn't the expensive part. You still drive the same car. It finally died last winter, and you paid cash for the next one. Used, reliable, nothing anyone would glance twice at in a parking lot, and felt something close to relief instead of disappointment. This is what choosing wealth over luxury actually looks like from inside it. Not a dramatic renunciation, not a personality built around deprivation. Just 100 small moments where the flashier option was sitting right there, and you quietly, unglamorously, chose the boring one instead, because somewhere, back at that coffee shop, you'd finally figured out the answer to the question that started all of it. You never wanted the stuff. You wanted the time it was quietly costing you.